Yo ho ho, Da Mafia. Welcome to a very special edition of the Da Mafia Report. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past hour, I have been anxiously waiting for the Buffalo Bills to drop their final 53-man roster. And as I am filming this right now, they still have yet to do so. Now, they have released a list of several names that have been cut / released / waived, whatever synonym that you can think of, but we have a general idea exactly what is going on with our 53-man roster with a couple of surprises. So I thought that for this video, we might as well go on ahead and just sort of dive into exactly what we should expect from the Buffalo Bills roster going in to 2020. And there's no sponsor, there's no quick announcement, right besides smashing the out of that like button, of course. We're just gonna dive right into this because I feel like the Bills Mafia needs to hear this. Like I said, they haven't released a full list of exactly who is going to be on the roster for a variety of reasons. Some of the names that are going to be on this list are more than likely going to be re-signed as early as tomorrow morning because of the IR spots that the Buffalo Bills have been gifted or that they have been assigned. So what I thought is we are going to go through several names. I'm not going to spend too much time on a lot of them, but I just sort of want to give everybody a general idea of what is going on. So like I said, this is the full list of everybody that was waived, cut, released, whatever synonym you want to throw out there. This is exactly what the Bills are working with. So starting off, the only quarterback on the list that ended up getting released was Davis Webb. Now, this is interesting. First off, there was no chance that Davis Webb was going to make this 53-man roster before he even stepped foot into training camp. But what's interesting about this is that Jake Fromm is not on this release list. Now, we all thought that the Bills were going to ride with two quarterbacks, and even I thought that the Bills were going to go with three quarterbacks. I believe it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then I recently changed my mind. But it sounds like Jake Fromm is going to be on this team, which is very interesting. Now, granted, he's going to be a healthy scratch because it's clear that Matt Barkley is our number 2. Josh Allen, of course, is going to be our number 1. But I am sincerely surprised that Jake Fromm did make this team, so let's go from there. As far as running backs are concerned that ended up getting cut, it was Antonio Williams, who I'm pretty sure got signed twice and cut twice. Poor dude. And then fan favorite, Christian Wade. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of us wanted Christian Wade to succeed, but at the end of the day, you can't expect a guy who just started playing football in general 2 years ago to be able to make a 53-man roster of a professional American football team where he's going up against people that have been playing the sport their entire life. I feel bad. I love Christian Wade, but unfortunately, he didn't end up making the team. I wouldn't be surprised if we pick him up for our practice squad, but unfortunately, we're not going to see any Christian Wade action this year in 2020 for the 53-man roster. Unless, of course, there is, some crazy shit that goes on. As far as wide receivers, surprise, surprise, Andre Roberts, who I have legitimately been staring you fools in the face for the past couple of weeks and saying there is no way in hell that Andre Roberts is not about to be on this team. And he ended up getting released, right? Now, he is one of the names on this release list that is more than likely going to be re-signed tomorrow due to some of the IR spots that the Buffalo Bills have secured. But I am still surprised that they ended up going on ahead and putting him on this specific list. Let's hope that we do re-sign him, because saying that we completely part ways with one of the best kick returners in the entire NFL, I really can't find a way to argue with that. As far as the other wide receivers, we have Duke Williams. I know, another fan favorite. He didn't make the team, but I did call it. We are just way too stacked on this wide receiver room. And then Robert Foster. And so we all knew that the Bills were sort of flirting with the fact that they wanted to trade him, but apparently there was not enough interest, so he ended up getting released. So it sounds like that Isaiah McKenzie ended up making this team. Very intriguing. I wonder if they don't re-sign Andre Roberts, I wonder if Isaiah McKenzie is going to be taking over the kick returning position for the team. very intriguing. And then both of our rookies in Gabriel Davis and Isaiah Hodgins have locked down that 53-man spot. So, wow, this is insane. And so moving on with tight end, we have Nate Becker and Jason Kroom. Really not surprising. We definitely ended up seeing them both being cut. And then the DBs, which was Brian Allen, Dane Jackson, Cam Lewis, who I was under the impression that was going to make this team, but it looks like the both of them ended up getting the slice or getting the cut, and we're going to have to see. And then Dean Marlowe. I never expected Dean Marlowe to be actually cut from this team, especially the role that he ended up playing for our special teams last year. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I mean, hey, you know what? I am not the guy that runs this entire team, so let's go from there. Last DB was Josh Thomas. That's really not a surprise. Defensive end, Brian Cox Jr. We all know him as the son of Brian Cox Sr., who absolutely hated the Buffalo Bills back in the 90s when he played for the Dolphins. I suppose you can call that karma. He is gone. Mike Love is gone. And then moving on to defensive tackle, Justin Zimmer, Tanzel Smart, and Vincent Taylor. They are all cut from the defensive tackle position, but then again, I didn't see either three of them making this team, so really not much of a surprise. Linebacker Andre Smith. This was a huge surprise to me, especially since we ended up signing him, 2 or 3 days ago. It was clear that the Buffalo Bills wanted to really put a huge focus on their special teams this offseason, especially with the moves that they have been making so far. This poor dude legitimately had 1 or 2 practices with the Bills, and they just ended up shooing him off on his merry way. So that was a surprise to me. And then finally, just when it comes to our offensive line, and so we have Evan Boehm, who I believe is going to be the second player on this list that is going to be re-signed tomorrow. And then we have Trey Adams. We all know Trey Adams. He's that dude that legitimately admitted during the combine that if there was anything that he could change about himself, he would say that he wanted a bigger dick. And it seems like that if he had a bigger dick, he might have made this team. But unfortunately, it just didn't happen. And then we ended up having Markel Harrell, Victor Solaco, and then offensive lineman Brandon Walton. They are concluding the list of all the players that the Buffalo Bills ended up slicing and cutting down for the final 53-man projection. Now, Don Mafia, thank you so much for tuning in. I do want you to leave a comment and let me know of any player that you were surprised that we ended up cutting during this deadline of 4 p.m. today. Regardless, I have full faith in Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott for being able to put together the best squad possible. I do think, like I said, that there's going to be at least 2 players on this release list that are going to be re-signed tomorrow morning. But regardless, I still want to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in to an impromptu episode of the Don Mafia Report. And before I let you go, always remember, let's go Buffalo.